Hi disciples, today we're learning the last part of my Ode to Joy arrangement. The part we're learning today, the third part, sounds like this. Alright, so it's going to sound very familiar, and actually most of this is very similar to the very first part that I showed you. The only part that's different is, there's two things that are different. It's in a different octave, and the last measure is different. So I'm going to show you the whole thing again, just as a refresher. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that this is middle C, so you kind of want to set your right hand up, sort of centered around middle C. You're not going to be playing that right away, and your left hand is going to be the D below middle C. Okay, so the first note that you play with your left hand is this D below middle C, and right when you play that D, you're going to play an F sharp with your right hand. So I'm going to teach this lesson a little bit differently because you've already learned most of this material in a different octave in an earlier tutorial, in the first tutorial. Okay, so here we go. You're going to play that D with your left hand right as you're playing this F sharp, and then bouncing to this A, like this. Okay, so that's the first half of that measure. You're going to play it and hold with your left hand. You're going to hold this left hand for the whole measure. So your right hand's doing this. F sharp, A, F sharp, A. Then you're going to move up to a G. Back to that A. A. So there's your first measure. These are the three notes that are moving, basically. The A is in between those, and you're playing a D with your left hand to hold. So like this. Alright, now, the next measure, the second measure, you're going to drop down to this A with your left hand, and you're going to stay with that pinky in the A for the top of the right hand. So right when you play this A, you're going to play an A in your right hand. A, G, back to that A, F sharp, back to that A, E, back to that A. So here are the first two measures. Now, we've got a lot of A's going on here. Alright, now your left hand for half of the measure, for 2 beats, is going to move up to this B, while your right hand plays a D here. And you're still bouncing between those A's. So that half of the measure there is just D, A, D, A. Now it's going to change a little bit. Your left hand is going to go down. You're going to skip over 3 Y notes and go to this E. Right as you're going to the E with your right hand. And here's where it gets a little bit tricky. So actually what I'm going to do at this part is I'm going to slow down and show you a little pattern with the left hand to make it easier for you to remember the left hand, and then we'll talk about the right hand, okay? So first two measures were good. You've just done this with your left hand, and then A. Now here's the pattern. You're going to go B for 2, E for 2, A for 2, D for 2. I slipped off the note there, but hopefully you can see this, and then you just shift down white notes. So Alright, so here's the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the left hand, alright? So let me play you into that part, and then I'll show you the right hand that goes on top of that part. Alright, so here we are where we're going to be moving with this pattern here. D and A in the left hand, in the right hand. Twice. Now you're going to climb to E, and then you're going to go to this G sharp with your thumb, and then an F sharp, and then a G sharp. That's that part while you're playing the E in the left hand. And then you have this thing that sounds final. That's the way to think about it. Your left hand is going to play an A here, and I'm holding down all these notes so you can see this. It's like a G6 chord. Like a G6 chord. Alright, so you just climb there while you're holding that A, so it's an E, G, A, D. That D is going to stay where it is. Basically, you're going to play it again, and your thumb is going to drop down to an F sharp. So this is the chord that your right hand is playing. F sharp and D, F sharp and D, right as your left hand finishes on that D. And the only thing that you want to remember is that there's that little fermata above that last chord, which just means you hold it out. And I don't mind if you even slow down a little bit going into that part. So here's the whole thing, if you're interested, all together nice and slow.